Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with an action figure that I'm excited to go over because it's one of my favorite comic arcs. This is the Marvel Legends Uncanny X-Men Retro Collection. I like to call it the Madripoor Wolverine. If you guys want to pick it up, it's slowly starting to get sold out on the regular collector sites. Those I always first say, check with your local comic shop or wherever it is locally that you like to pick up your comics and your action figures. And also at the time of this recording, it is still available on Amazon. And I just love the black. There is one glaring thing about this figure that gets on my nerves, something fierce, and we'll get into that in a minute. Love that you see the accessories. Got the packaging, just looks like that old school Toy Biz thing. Love it. It says Miramasa Blade, and then the rest of it in another languages for you guys. Nothing on the side because it's a blister pack. Come around to the back, and you get the figures from the way, which I'll make sure to get a close-up. Same thing with the read-up, and then of course we get this really ugly product shot with Wolverine with his open mouths, which yeah, we're gonna skip on past that. Nothing on the side, nothing on the top. So with that said, is this another Wolverine figure worth your time? Let's bust him out and get a closer look at him. And here's Logan out of the packaging, and just that black on this figure looks absolutely astounding and proves why when he is separate from the X-Men he says, I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice. Now still, even though it's a beautiful piece that you need to have in your collection, especially if you're a huge fan of Wolverine, there are still a couple of things on this action figure that are going to drive me up the wall and frost me. So let's get him out of the packaging and get a closer look at what I'm talking about. Quick backstory on this Wolverine. The costume design first appeared in Wolverine Volume 2, number 1 of November 1988. And that was the beginning of Wolverine's first ongoing solo series, because there was the mini-series, but then they released the ongoing, which this is where, as I just said, came from. Wolverine, along with the X-Men, were presumed dead after the 1988 Fall of the Mutants event, and so Logan travels to the island of Telembang to liberate Kojima Noburo, who is a nobleman employed by Mariko Yoshida, who was the love of Wolverine's life. Logan's mutant healing factor and adamantium-laced bones protects Wolverine from the pirates' attack and single-handedly defeats all of them. Now, Wolverine does find Kojima on the brink of death, and he tells Logan the pirates were employed by the cult of the Black Blade, who want the Miramasa sword, which they call the Black Blade, that is to be delivered to Madripoor. That's how the first issue kicks off, and it also gives us the first appearance of Patch, which, speaking of, I wish Hasbro would get off their duff and give us a Patch figure already, since they gave us this one. It's like, come on, how hard it is to just put Wolverine in a white suit with a eye patch, because, yeah, that's the one I'm itching for. Anyway, that aside, make sure to go check out that early Wolverine run that Chris Claremont wrote. Absolutely worth it. Now, as for the figure, let's talk about the accessories right quick. He does come with a couple of open hands, which on this figure I prefer, because in the comics, Wolverine's trying to conceal his identity, hence the birth of the Patch persona. So whenever he's around people that at least know him in some degree, he does not pop his claws. So there's a lot of fist fighting compared to using his claws, unless he's out on his own, like at the beginning of issue 1 of his ongoing series. But with that said, he does come with the regular agitating claws. Like, there's been so many iterations of Wolverine. Like, this one I think came after the X-Force Wolverine, where they gave us those nice big thick claws that didn't bunch up. So it irritates me that for this 80th retro, what is it, 80th anniversary or whatever this was, the retro version, they gave us these old flimsy claws, which are just agitating as crap. Don't get me wrong, they look nice, but they're so flimsy, and they end up bunching together, and it just, whenever you're trying to do photography or whatnot, you're constantly having to readjust them. So I'm probably, for photography, I'm going to pop these suckers out. I bought some metal ones from a third party that designed them, and they look so much better on the Wolverines when I photograph them. So yeah, these are not going to stay on there for the photography segment, but got to talk about it because that's that. The other thing that he comes with is the Miramasa blade. And even though this thing's all black, like, this reminds me of something that would come with Snake Eyes. It's a nice design, and I like how friggin' big it is. Like, look at that. That is a nice size Wolverine, nice size katana. I wish that the blade had some silver into it, and I kind of wish the handle maybe had some brown dry brush. Just something to kind of put it off, but just the jet black, I get it because it's supposed to be called the black blade, so it is what it is. Other than that, you know, you can kind of see the ripples on the handle, make it look like a traditional katana. Of course, the bend on it. So decent sword nonetheless, so I can't complain too much, and it looks cool when you get it posed in his hand. It looks like he's about to go to town slicing people up. Now, as for Wolverine himself, the one glaring thing about this figure that I do not like overall is on the cover of issue 1, as we just saw a moment ago, and throughout the first part of issue 1 book, there's like shadows on his eyes to kind of show that he's doing shady stuff. So I hate that the Hasbro team here took it a little too literal and really just gave us like some hardcore cross-thatching shading on his eyes. It looks like he's wearing a mask, or that he rubbed bear shit or something in his face, so that kind of bugs me. But at least the blue eyes stick through, and again, just pretend that it's a mask and just leave it at that. I do love on this figure that he does have his black hair, but they did the OG thing that I'm always talking about, where they put in some blue tri-brushing to show that OG way of how, I'm saying that a lot, that they would use blue to show that this person's hair is black, and that's kind of what they would do to just kind of help offset it so that the hair didn't just disappear into the backdrop. Now, the arm hair, I'm glad that it's there, but at the same time, it just looks kind of hokey because it's painted on. But, you know, if it was actual fur, that'd be kind of weird too. So it's kind of a catch-22. So at least it shows the, you know, the hairy runt knuckle head that everyone knows and loves. The black throughout the entire figure is what it is. Hate that they put the legal mumbo jumbo there. Should have put that on the bottom of the foot. Has the peg holes there. Red belt looks awesome. Gloves look great. And yeah, that's pretty much it. He's the simplistic figure in terms of paint ups, but it works. I like that screaming face. You kind of get the teeth in there. Looks good. Now, let me know down in the comments. I don't know if this is maybe just my Wolverine, but I swear like the head is bored out because it doesn't fit correctly on the pegs. I mean, look at how much play I get in that thing. It's like I could put him on my dashboard and he could be a friggin' bobblehead. So I don't know if that's a problem for everybody, but he was like that since I pulled him out of the packaging. If y'all know how to kind of shore that up so it's not so loose, I mean, look at the play on that. That's ridiculous. If you know a way to kind of tighten that up, let me know, because that's driving me nuts. Now, speaking of articulation, and now again, I don't know if this is going to be with every version of this figure that you pick up, but he was super tight. Like I could not get an ab crunch after just an initial warm-up. I had to do it 2 or 3 times to get that to move, and whew, it was a thing. So the head minus the can look down that much, and with all that hair that Wolverine has, you can look up that much side to side, and because of mine you get all sorts of head plates, like whatever. Now I'm glad that he does have the butterfly joint. Oh boy, warmed this up and it's still not gonna go. I had to warm this guy up a 5th time. My goodness. I mean, look at how tight this joint's supposed to go. And with this one in particular, I don't know. I don't know if it's the production of it, but you kind of have to push in to get it to go all the way back, and then it snaps. I've never had a butterfly joint do that to me before. So yeah, be careful with this dude. Be very, very careful. I'm glad that the arms go all the way forward and back, especially helps with like katana poses for being able to hold a katana correctly. I wish that they would make the butterfly joint industry standard on every figure, because it really helps with that range of motion that you need when you want to do photography. Arms do spin 360, up that way, down that way. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees, almost double jointed. Hands do go spinny, spinny. And you get the up and down motion, awesome. And as I said, this, I really had to make sure he was like barely baking hot before I could finally get him to do that and that. So yeah, again, be careful with this Wolverine. And he also, I'm still having a hard time getting him to do this. I could feel resistance, and I'm sure there's probably some paint or glue in there that's just... Legs up that way. Leg forward that way. Of course, butt flap won't let you go any further. Double jointed knee. Upper thigh cut. Foot go that way. Foot go that way. Pivot, pivot. So the paint apps look good. Again, they're relatively simplistic, but I like the way that this character looks overall. Love that they actually added the blue to the hair to give it that look of like the old school 80s comics and 70s. Articulation, for the most part, as long as you keep this dude warmed up, you're good to go. Just be careful, because if he's stiff, it's going to really drive you up the wall and frost you. But that's okay. Just put him under a hot hair dryer for a little bit. Don't melt him, but you should be good to go. So overall, paint apps, articulation, I'm a happy little camper. Though there are a lot of Wolverine figures on the market, I really do favor this particular piece just because it was from his first solo series. Yeah, there was the 5-part Frank Miller one, but ongoing, that's where this was introduced, and that's why it's so special to me. Anytime Wolverine's in Madripoor or the Southeast Asia area, you know you're going to get into some awesome action, fun, and espionage, and this just kind of encompasses all of that. And that's why I wish we could get a damn Patch figure already, because put him next to this one and then like a Joe Fix-It, and you're just going to have so many awesome memories from that Claremont run. Now, if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your figures and your comics, and grab this dude. If not, then as I talked about at the beginning of the review, make sure to grab him on Amazon before he sells out. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little patch bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified, come to the channel, and we love talking with you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.